There's a particular kind of curiosity that comes with watching someone every morning for years without really knowing them at all. That's the strange intimacy of breakfast television. Millions of people have woken up to Ben Shephard's voice, his easy laugh, his steady presence on the sofa, and yet almost nothing about his actual home life ever makes it onto the screen. Which is exactly why, when his marriage comes up, people lean in. Here's what makes it interesting. Ben Shephard and his wife, Annie Perks, didn't meet in a studio or at a red carpet event. They met as students at the University of Birmingham, long before either of them had any idea where their lives were headed. Ben was studying dance and theatre. Annie was studying philosophy. Two completely different worlds, sitting in the same lecture halls, somehow finding their way to each other. There's something quietly romantic about that. Not a made-for-TV meet-cute, just two young people whose paths happened to cross at the right moment. They married in March 2004, on a remote island off the Devon coast, which already tells you something about the kind of people they are. Not a big London wedding. Not a media event. A quiet, chosen away from everything ceremony, the kind you plan when you want the day to belong only to you. And what's genuinely touching is that they've gone back. Ben has shared photos over the years of the two of them returning to that same venue, at one point even being served drinks by the same bartender who worked their wedding 17 years earlier. That's not a detail anyone stages for an anniversary post. That's a couple who actually likes revisiting the place where their life together started. More than 2 decades on, they're still together, raising 2 sons, Sam and Jack, largely out of the public eye. And that's arguably the most striking thing about this marriage when you sit with it for a moment. Ben Shephard has spent his entire adult life on camera. Morning television, in particular, has a way of making its presenters feel like they belong to the audience, like Kate Garraway or Kat Delay or whoever's sharing the sofa that year is somehow part of the family too. But Annie has never played that role. She stayed almost entirely outside of it, choosing her own path instead. And that path is worth talking about, because it isn't a passive one. Annie built her own career, running an interiors and design website of her own. She's not the presenter's wife in the sense of someone standing quietly in his shadow. She's someone who does her own work, in her own space, on her own terms. It's easy to overlook that detail, but it says a lot about the shape of their relationship. Two people with separate professional identities, choosing, deliberately, to keep one of them almost entirely private. That contrast is probably why fans keep circling back to this marriage whenever it comes up. Ben's job means opening up his mornings to millions of strangers. Annie's choice has been the opposite, protecting a version of their life that stays theirs. There's something almost countercultural about that in 2026, when so much of public life gets narrated in real time. A 20-plus year marriage that stayed, by most accounts, remarkably steady, without leaning on the audience for validation. Maybe that's the actual story here. Not a scandal, not a dramatic reveal, just two people who met young, built something quietly durable, and decided that not everything has to be shared to be real. In an industry that runs on exposure, choosing privacy is its own kind of statement. What do you think keeps a marriage like this steady for over 20 years while one partner lives so publicly? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this look behind the cameras, you know what to do.